St. Lucius file 0046616. Holy Relic documentation. 2 doors from the community church on 108th and Oklahoma. 2-ish years ago, 3 years ago, after setting up an outlaw camp near where a dead body was found by Julie Frost's house, Kelly Braun and Chuchi. There were kids outside. I didn't know they were there. It was raining. My camp had fallen apart, torn by the teenagers that would randomly toss my camp, which I had to get used to, after planting an American flag and releasing for the 4th time since high school Godric powers, after shutting hell down in public 3 times. I released Godric powers for the 5th time later that afternoon after playing the sewers in the style of Somewhere Over the Rainbow and Imperial March from Star Wars, the Darth Vader theme. Somehow the reverberations had caused the smoke from my food fire, after filling the area with heavy precipitous dust collecting. Somehow the reverberations 10 minutes later caused a nearby cloud to randomly coalesce into 2 sides of a face in the clouds, 2-dimensional, facing west as it traveled southeast with the lower level clouds. Someone about half a mile away by a gas station, I think the Mobile across from Port Richards, I heard them yell, "Damn, do you see that face in the sky?" So that was verified. And then somehow a 3-dimensional cloud came by with an upturned tooth in the shape of, I can only explain it as Buddha. In a Catholic way, it was the shape of God. In a scientific way, it was random fluctuations in the precipitous dust, followed by the currents of echoes reorganizing the precipitous dust into a visible cloud formation of a 2-dimensional face, roughly about the size horizontally, the escape velocity of the face basically was at about 5 miles an hour, maybe 1 or 2 knots. So then it was raining. I saw the face. I figured, hell, I gotta put my camp back together. So I took the 2 sliding doors that were hollow with pressed wood. After releasing Godric powers, lightning struck, but as the lightning had struck, my slowed down recollection of the past, as I noticed just how long it took, marking time, 4:20, just how long it took for the doors in the low pressure, a half a second before the lightning struck. The pressure in the area somehow decreased enough for the 2 doors to be brought together. The current from one side of my body, the anode, entered the cathode side of my body. The cathode side of my body is the right side, because I've been struck by electricity. I mean, I've had ambient current run through my face before and my feet, and it leaves. I've documented that on Make Hoodie also and Make Hoodie Not War on YouTube. After the Shadow Church mural, the painting, I was holding a wooden paint, Benjamin Franklin style. I was holding a wooden paint stick that had metal, and during an ambient current exchange in my body that left 2 marks on my toe and 2 marks on my finger on both the starboard side. I used the paintbrush to paint the sky. From my vantage point, through my eyes, I saw the ambient current leaving the brush and entering the clouds. The documentation follows as about 3 years ago, from the Allen Bradley clock tower, lightning struck again. Before it had struck, 3 seconds before it struck, I was thrown off balance. Then the lightning struck in a triad triple arc, like a sai, one of those Ninja Turtle swords. Then the documentation follows back to the past, 5 years ago. Closed my eyes during an ambient energy exchange with the, what is it called, the sprite. After, during, and before a lightning strike, it's been discovered by the International Space Station that a sprite is formed at a certain distance past the ozone layer, in the same way that the smell of burning sun and the discharge of radiation from our star as it enters our atmosphere causes aurora borealis, in the same way that neutron star markers, when a neutron star is formed from the collapse of a sun, it supposedly starts a sprite in our atmosphere. The neutrinos arrive first, dragged by dark matter, heralding the explosion beforehand, which registers in your mind as small electrical currents, triggering visual, ocular energy exchange with the ambient current in the atmosphere. So, on a graph, as I closed my eyes, 5 years ago at Lincoln Empowerment Village on 5th and Lincoln, looked out the window, closed my eyes, and then did slow tracking with the purple and green lights that I see in my vision, that everybody sees when they rub their eyes. A full 3 seconds before the strike of lightning, I saw a mush of green and purple light that in my vision was the size of my hand at a foot distance from my eyes. While my eyes were closed, those lights came on as a torus smear on a flat 2-dimensional grid with time moving to starboard. The smush then moved incrementally with time on that grid and came to a point, creating a starboard pointing teardrop that ended with the flash of light from the lightning. So those 2 doors on 108th and Oklahoma came together, sucked by the low pressure of the bolt of lightning. Also, the documentation of the witnessed, what is that, 4 years ago at 6:30 with 6:30 a.m. Milwaukee time. I had noticed the constellation Orion at its apogee, and in an arc swing from the port shoulder star down to the phallic sword, 2 dots. This arc swing, 2 knots, 2 knots port, and then an arc swing 3 knots starboard to about 20 degrees obtuse angle from the port shoulder star. There I saw the flash that lasted 3.5 seconds, heralded by the heralded by the neutrinos way in advance. Somehow I was making fun of the phallic sword. My eyes saw the 3.5 second flash, which could have been an incoming asteroid or meteorite. So I had to stick around long enough to see 1.5 second flash. The star stayed bright but was dimmer and had a blue tone to it. So it was blue shifting, which means it was going faster than it was before. Of course, optically, I saw the microwave radiation, the infrared radiation, and the ultraviolet radiation all combined to form a blue dot. Because the church around the corner from St. Ben's had been struck by lightning, with the hands of the clock, I think we're at 35 or 34. That was why I made sure that we weren't going to be wiped out before going in to St. Ben's for chow time. The yard had just been closed by Billy, security guard, the Cox's jaw because he ate a bullet, and I went in. The documentation rests with my testimony. I am a Catholic priest, the Wandering Buddha, Lieutenant Seski R., court-martialed and demoted to Reverend Bobby.